Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about some music. I've been wanting to do music for a while now. It's just really difficult because one, my CD collection is pretty large, and two, it's in utter disarray because a couple years ago I was forced to put my CD collection into these huge binders because of space issues. We were living in an apartment, didn't really have space to keep them on shelves. So I had to put them in these binders, and binders are really cool for storage space. But when you start buying new CDs and you have to shift everything around to make room for a new CD, it gets really annoying. So some CDs are in the binder, some CDs are still in their cases. Just a big annoyance factor there. So I don't know. I do want to do a CD collection video, but I might wait on it a little while to do until I get them back into their cases, because I do plan on putting more shelving down here in the game room. That being said, Leo Castell 4, hopefully I said your name right, just did his CD collection, and he and I have been kind of discussing games and music on through my channel and stuff. So he wanted to see my CD collection, which I just kind of gave the reason why I haven't done one of those yet. So I wanted to do something with music to kind of have a sort of a back and forth with him a little bit. And thinking about it, I looked through my music and I thought about what was the zenith, or not the zenith, what was the origins, the genesis of me being a big, huge person into music. We often have bands and albums that when we listen to them at a certain age and time, they just propel us into this world of music. And I went through and I picked what do I got here? How many do I got? Looks like 6 CDs. Went through and just picked out 6 CDs that really hit me hard during a very formative age, which would be anywhere from 14 to 16. And I think we listened to music before then, but I think that's the age where we really start defining our taste and defining what we like in music. So I went back and looked at albums around that time, and really the first 3 albums are the ones where most of my musical tastes come from. Bands that I listen to now, I can look back and kind of do a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon of how I got there, and it usually starts off with one of these 3 bands. And the first band I'm going to talk about is, I don't think this band really needs any introduction. I think they're the most important band of the last 20 years, and that is Radiohead with OK Computer. I bought Pablo Honey and I bought the Bins before, that came out before this, but it wasn't really until OK Computer that Radiohead became my favorite band of all time. Just listening to this album, because Pablo Honey and the Bins were more of a Britpop, standard British alternative albums. With this, Radiohead really started to push things forward and try to do different things. And I remember the first time I heard Airbag, and my brain almost melted in my skull. Paranoid Android, the video for it, and the fact that MTV played a 6-minute video on air a lot really spoke to how well crafted this album was. A lot of albums during this time, which this was 97, we were getting close to the end of the millennium, blah blah blah, and a lot of albums really started to look at where we were going to be going in the future with technology. And this is one of the first albums I can remember that kind of looked at technology as a scary thing. After that we had Grandaddy with the Software Slump. Even further down the line we had the Flaming Lips with Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. But this kind of definitely looked at where our modern society was going, and it is a nightmare vision of that. But there's also a lot of beauty in this album too. I always listen to exit music for a film, and that has to be, still to this day, one of the most emotionally devastating tracks ever written. And Radiohead's really good at writing some emotionally devastating tracks. But just looking on the back of here, fantastic music all around. I mean, you got Electioneering, which I still think is one of the best songs about politics. And whenever we're getting ready for another big presidential election and blah blah blah, it's going to change everything. I often put electioneering in, and it centers me again. So, but definitely, if you guys haven't checked out this album, definitely go take a look at it. OK Computer by Radiohead. And like Leo Castellfor, I'm going to say what my favorite song is off every album. And off this album, it's probably Climbing Up the Walls. There's just something so creepy and alluring to that track. It's definitely one of my favorite Radiohead tracks ever. Now, that being said, this is no longer my favorite Radiohead album. My new favorite Radiohead album is probably Kid A. I think that it just took what OK Computer did and it took it a step further. And I liked... when I first listened to Kid A, I didn't know what to make of it because I was expecting another one of these, because back then I wasn't really internet savvy at the time, so I wasn't following a lot of lead up to the album. I just went to a record store one day and saw Kid A by Radiohead, and I was like, oh, new Radiohead album. Went and listened to it without any introduction of what it was going to be, and got kind of terrified by it. But Radiohead, OK Computer, probably one of my most formative albums ever. Like from Radiohead, I went on to Sigur Rós and other things, and it really got me. As Radiohead went more into electronic, so did I, and I got into a lot of electronic music. So the next album, and I'm not sure how well this is going to pick up, is my favorite album by this band, and it is one of the best albums ever made, and that is Tool's Onoma. I was into Tool when I first heard Prison Sex on MTV. Prison Sex. And then when I saw the video for Stinkfist, which at the time you couldn't put Stinkfist on screen, they put it as track number 1, which I always thought was funny. I just melted for this album. It's so esoteric, and a lot of it is actually really funny. Like the song Die Ear von Satan. When I listened to that track as a young kid, of course, no internet at that time, so I didn't really know what it was about, and I didn't know German. So I thought, I was like, well, are these guys a bunch of Nazis or something? But it's a very terrifying sounding track with this guy shouting in German. And then when you find out what the album is, it's basically a brownie recipe, and he's just shouting it at this crowd. So Tool has a lot of really hidden humor in it, and I remember listening to this album non-stop, all the way through, straight through, gorgeous stuff, and it really has kind of informed a lot of my own, sort of spiritual beliefs in a way, because I'm not really a religious person, and you'll kind of see that with the next album, but it has informed a lot of my, sort of spiritual beliefs. It's got a lot of stuff in here about false martyrs, about evolution, and Tool is really a thinking man's band. I remember going to a tour show for the Lateralus tour, and it was me, my brother, and one of his friends, and we were just sitting there, just letting this music just wash through us, just enjoying everything about it. And of course, we had a couple of Ohio's finest behind us, shaved heads, goatees, sitting back there drinking some beer, and we were enjoying the disposition reflection triad sequence, which forms a whole sequence on Lateralus album. And man, they're sitting back there like just drunk as skunks, and they're like, man, fuck this pussy shit, play some hard stuff. And I just remember, because that was 2001, so I was I 19 then? I just remember thinking to myself, oh my god, these guys are totally missing what Tool was trying to do with their music, and all they want to do is headbang, and they should just go to a Stain concert or something. But anyway, that is Tool's Onoma, one of the best albums ever made. I don't know what else I can say about it. Probably my favorite song off of it is 46 and 2, which is all about evolution and change, and trying to change yourself and stuff. So. But actually, there's a lot of tracks on this that I really love. I really love Eulogy, which is about false martyrdom. I love Third Eye, which is it's kind of about an alien abduction, but it's also about opening yourself up to a new experience and trying to open your third eye to see the world in a different light. So They definitely have more on their minds than just headbanging riffs. So if you guys haven't listened to Tool, definitely check out some of their stuff. And it's actually, Tool, listening to their albums in sequence is actually a really interesting thing, because when you listen to like Opiate and Onoma, or Opiate and Undertow, sorry, they're kind of very angry albums. And then when you get to Onoma, you can start to see there's still that anger there, but they're starting to focus it in a more positive direction. And then Lateralus, when I got Lateralus, I was completely floored by it, because it's all about healing and positive energy and stuff like that. But it's on top of all these really esoteric riffs and stuff like that. It's just they are amazing, and you could spend an entire lifetime studying their stuff. Okay, the next album is probably going to be a little bit of a controversial one. I know this artist isn't really as popular today as he was, but back in the day, no one touched this guy. And the next album is going to be Antichrist Superstar by Marilyn Manson. Now I know, Leo Castell talked a little bit about artists beyond their prime. And I would agree that maybe Manson has gone on a little longer than he should, but I'm really excited for Born Villain. I'm actually... Born Villain, I haven't been as excited for an album since maybe, Manson album since maybe Hollywood. So, really excited to see what Born Villain brings us next month. But, at the time, I can't think of another artist that provoked this kind of a response from people that this guy did. It's almost kind of funny in a way, because when you really sit down and listen to the album, it has nothing to really do with Christianity or God or anything about that. It's about one person's, rise to power, and then him finding that the power was hollow and pointless, and then in the end he just decides to destroy everything. The one thing that I remember the most off this album is at the very end, when there's all those cascading voices that says, when all your wishes are granted, many of your dreams will be destroyed. That's really what this album is about. It's about the rise to power, and how it's, power and all that stuff is really a hollow pursuit. But, I remember getting this album, when it first came out, because I think for the one reason, everyone bought this album to piss off their parents. This was the album to own to piss off your parents. Which I think is funny now, because at the time my mom, was really angry that I bought this. But now, she really loves Marilyn Manson's versions of Personal Jesus. So it's kind of weird how parents kind of caught into their kids' music eventually. But I remember buying this, to piss off my parents, and listening to it on the school bus heading into school, and just thinking, oh my God, I am terrified of this. Like, this album scared me at the time. Listening to it now, it's kind of like watching an old B movie. That's kind of, hokey and silly, but at the same time, it's still really an awesome album. I wouldn't say it's his best album. My favorite album is Mechanical Animals, and I think that's his best album from start to finish. But this is still, the first part of the triptych, and this is when Manson was basically on top of the world. His creativity was flowing, and he had a message to say, and it's definitely... I didn't really get into full-on industrial or metal. I liked Marilyn Manson. I liked Nine Inch Nails. I didn't go much further than that, but it definitely, kind of opened me up to that world a little bit more. It's hard to pick a favorite track off of this, because there's a couple that I just really, really enjoy. I really enjoy Little Horn. I like driving in the car and belting that out, and then feeling like my throat is just all scabbed up at the end. I really like Antichrist Superstar. I really like The Reflecting God. But I think my favorite track would probably be Angel with the Scab Wings. I don't know why. It's just that with the drum beat and everything. It's just an awesome track. And they used to open up the Dead to the World tour with that track. So if you guys haven't listened to Marilyn Manson, give his old stuff a shot. His old stuff is really good. Eat Me, Drink Me wasn't that great. I did like High End of Low, but I can see how some people thought it was weak. And I really think that Born Villain's going to be really good. So, Marilyn Manson. Oh, these aren't in order, by the way. It's not like this is 1, 2, and 3. This is just a smattering of albums. So, next up an interesting sort of left turn from Marilyn Manson. Another really big formative album for me was Sunny Day Real Estate, the Pink album, the self-titled album. I really enjoyed, oh God, Diary. God, my brain's going crazy. I really enjoyed Diary, but when I got this, you know, I didn't know what to make of it at first, because, you know, Diary was a very polished, very produced album, and this is about as raw as you can get in terms of an album. You know, when you listen to this, and especially when you've read into Sunny Day Real Estate and what was going on in the late '94, early '95, you know, in their lives and in the career of the band, you can't help but see that this is the sound of a band falling apart. And you know, they had a sort of big success with Diary. Not like mainstream success, but, you know, for a small band like that, it was a lot of success and a lot of exposure. And then with this one, you know, Jeremy Enigk wanted to take the band in a little bit of a different direction, and basically everyone, just that classic infighting that happens in bands once they, you know, sort of get some attention. But this album, it still sticks with me as my favorite Sunny Day Real Estate album. And you know, just listen to those opening riffs of Friday, and especially song number 8. If you guys have not listened to Sunny Day Real Estate's 8, stop watching this right now. Open up another tab or another window, get on YouTube, type in Sunny Day Real Estate 8, and listen to that track. Still to this day, that is one of my top 10 tracks of all time. That song is just fan-fucking-tastic. And, God, I could listen to that song every day of the week and never get sick of it. But there's so many weird little songs like 5 to 4 and Waffle. And, you know, the story behind the artwork, why they decided to make it all pink with just a fly on the inside. The band was essentially broken up by the time Sub Pop decided to put this out. Or was able to put it out, I should say. And, you know, they were calling around to see, you know, what should we do with this? You know, what kind of artwork do you guys want on this? What is it? And they called William Goldsmith. And William Goldsmith basically just said, make it pink. And that was it. So that's why it was pink. You can barely see Sunny Day Real Estate on there. And it's, you know, a very evocative cover. You know, Weezer, of course, has the blue. They have their colored albums, but they're always on the cover. This is just pink with Sunny Day Real Estate in very small print. Very stark, but very awesome. And it's definitely something you should check out. My favorite song is song number 8, although I really like Escarabade, and I really like Rodeo Jones, and of course Friday and Theo B. So definitely, if you guys have never listened to Sunny Day Real Estate, definitely check out some of their stuff. Diary is a very good album, very kind of similar to this. They broke up for a while, then they came back with How It Feels to Be Something On, which is an amazing, amazing album. Definitely check that one out. With The Rising Tide, they got a little bit overproduced, but I still really like a lot of tracks on that. Like Faces in Disguise is just one of the most gorgeous tracks ever made. And then they broke up again and formed the Fire Theft and did a bunch of other things. They regrouped in 2009, but when they were talking, you know, Dan Horner was like, "Oh, we're gonna make another album," but nothing has ever come of that. So I guess we'll see if they do put out another album. Sorry, my throat was getting really scratchy there. The next album I bought when I was a teenager, lost it, and then I had to rebuy it as an adult. And to sort of set the stage for this, you know, this is an album that preceded me by, you know, almost 20 years, okay? But riding in the car with my mother as a little kid, she had like this Beach Boys Greatest Hits album, and she'd always play it. So, you know, growing up and really listening to that as a kid a lot, I got this thing in the back of my head for the Beach Boys. And when I got old enough to buy a CD, I went out and found this one because I read that it was supposed to be the best album of all time, and that is Pet Sounds. And I own this about 5 times over between this, the sessions, the LP. You know, I have multiple copies of this thing now. And you know, what can you say about this that hasn't been said before? Best album ever made? I would say yes. You know, people, you know, will go back and forth about this and like Sgt. Pepper and blah blah blah. But you know, even Paul McCartney has said, without this, there would be no Sgt. Pepper. So, kind of think about that when you know, argue with somebody over that topic. But this is one of the most emotionally devastating albums ever. You know, it starts off very happy. It's almost like a concept album. Like if you listen to it, listen to the songs and listen to the lyrics and stuff, it almost tells a story of, you know, a relationship going bad. I don't know if that's what Brian Wilson really intended with it, but starting off with Wouldn't It Be Nice and ending with Caroline No, and just the way you move through it, it really does sound like a relationship, you know, that starts off great and wonderful and awesome, and then it just, by the end of it, it just completely disintegrates. So, you know, I've never heard anything about it being a concept album, but and a concept album in that it tells a story, but it definitely does tell a story if you want it to be there. You know, I don't really know what else I can say about this that hasn't been said a million times. You know, every time Rolling Stone does a best of list and stuff, this is always near the top. One time I got really like surprised because Pitchfork did a top 100 singles, and number 1 was God Only Knows, and I never would have thought Pitchfork Media would have picked God Only Knows as the best track. But probably my favorite track on here, it definitely goes between I Just Wasn't Made for These Times and Caroline No. God Only Knows is, you know, most people's choice off of this, and I really do like that track. I especially love the end of it with the way the voices come in, you know, especially when Bruce Johnson comes in. His voice just adds this like shimmering quality to at the end where it's like, God only knows. But, you know, definitely a fantastic album. Probably should have been Brian Wilson's first solo album, to be honest with you, because the Beach Boys, you know, aside from what Mike Love says, the Beach Boys really had very little to do with this. He had basically they had the album done by the time they got there, and they just needed to lay down the vocal tracks. But God, what a fantastic album! If you guys have any interest in music whatsoever and have not heard this album, go listen to it. Go find a vinyl copy of it, put it on your hi-fi, put headphones on, and just listen to the depth of sound. You know, even with the mono tracks, there's still a depth to it that is just, you know, it's really amazing that this was made at the time, because I feel like with the Beatles stuff, I can still kind of hear the edits and the choppiness in it, and with this, it sounds like it just came out that way, you know what I mean? So, Beach Boys, Pet Sounds. Now, the last thing, I have to kind of preface this a little bit. This is one of the biggest bands, you know, ever during my early years, my early teenage years. And they only made a couple albums, and, you know, it'd be easy to pick one or the other as my, you know, most formative album. But really, the one that really sticks with me after all these years is actually not an album, it's a Rarities and B-Sides collection. And that is Nirvana's Incesticide. It'd be really easy to say, oh man, you know, Nevermind was such a formative album. I really loved Nevermind, but as I've grown older, I've kind of, I don't know if it's like, you know, I've bought into this backlash of Nirvana, because I don't think that's true, because I really do like Nirvana still, but I don't like how slickly produced it is. If anything, I like In Utero better, because it's rawer and noisier. But this one actually really sticks with me, because I remember getting this and, you know, opening up the case and reading the story. There's this really weird story in here that Kurt Cobain wrote about going and finding, I don't know, just going to, where was he at? In the UK, and buying vinyl, and buying these little dolls that he collected. And it's just a weird little thing to put in an album, but it's also kind of awesome to read that in a way. But this was a lot different from, you know, Nevermind and it kind of pointed a little bit towards In Utero in a way with some of its rawer tracks. But I remember listening to this, and I was just blown away by this. At the time, I thought it was another album. I didn't realize it was a B-sides and rarities collection until I was older, because you don't really pay attention to that stuff when you're young. But I remember, I saw the video for Sliver, and with him in that ratty sweater, and I had to go out and get this. And then, listening to Dive, and I wasn't a big fan of like Been a Sun or Turnaround or Molly's Lips. Those are some tracks that, just never really stuck with me, the covers. But the second side, okay, the side, the latter half of the album with like Downer and Hairspray Queen, Aereo Zeppelin, especially the last two tracks on the album are probably my two favorite Nirvana tracks ever, which are Big Long Now and Aneurysm. Big Long Now was just, at that time, a song going like 5 minutes long, because I got this, God, when did I get this? I got this about 93, so I was like 11 years old when I got this. But listening to like Big Long Now, when it was 5 minutes long, it sounded like a Godspeed You Black Emperor track, But yeah, it'd be real easy to pick Nevermind or In Utero, but I pick Incesticide as my big track because it was just a bunch of weird songs that, normally never would have got released. But if you guys are interested in Nirvana, I definitely say check this one out, at the top of your list, because it's just got some great stuff on there. Big Long Now, Aneurysm, look it up on YouTube and see if they have some videos out. Not videos, but people put tracks out there. That's actually a painting by Kurt Cobain on the cover, by the way, so that's kind of cool. But anyway, those were my not top six, but those are probably the 6 albums that informed the most of my, musical tastes. With Radiohead, I went more into a noisy sort of electronic direction. With Tool, I got more into like rhythm and not so much metal. I'm not a big metalhead, although I do like some metal bands, but more into esoteric ideas. Manson really awoke me to sort of look at what society is and realize that everything that we believe is just learned. There's nothing that we believe that's in we're not born with it. We learn it and then we just regurgitate it. So that's kind of what Manson taught me. Sunny Day Real Estate pushed me into an emo direction for a while that I quickly sort of backpedaled from once like Dashboard Confessional came out, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta get out of this. But they're definitely one of the big bands that I really do like. Very good, loud, soft dynamics. Pet Sounds, what can you say about Pet Sounds? It made me go into jazz. It made me go into, more 60s style music and look into that. And Nirvana Incesticide taught me to never, ever doubt the quality of a B-side or a rarity. Always check those things out when you guys are listening to bands. So those are my formative albums from my early, young, teenage years. Of course, there are a lot of other albums, like Sigur Ros's I'll Guide Us by Your Yun. The first time I heard the Decemberists, it really awoke something in me. There's a electronic group named, I don't know how to pronounce the name, it's like Altecker or Altisher. They're very glitch-oriented, and it's almost hard to listen to, but once you listen to it enough, you kind of lock into the conflicting rhythms. Electronic group, they're really good. Agalloch for metal, I really like Agalloch. Explosions in the Sky, and I didn't even talk about post-rock. I'm a big post-rock fan. I like Explosions in the Sky, I like Godspeed You Black Emperor. I definitely like Silver Mountain Zion. They're a group that we listened to one of their CDs while my hometown had a power outage, and basically no one was on the street, and it looked and with that music sounded like the apocalypse. So I'll probably do a CD collection here soon. I just got to figure out if I'm going to do it in the binder or if I'm going to wait till I put them back in the cases. But just want to do that real quick for Leo Castell. This is probably a long video, so I don't know why I said real quick there. But I will put up another video soon, and we'll keep this gravy train rolling here. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.